Hello everybody and welcome back to the program. Together a duo, and together they believe that they can't be wrong. Both Paul and Linda McCartney ventured to make Ram in 1971. I am recording this video on the date in which it came out on its birthday, and we're here to celebrate it, and I'm going to give you a full in-depth review of the album and what I think of it and how influential the album was to me growing up, and is till this day just as influential to me as a creator. If you'd like to like and subscribe to the channel, share the video with a friend. It's a little way that helps spread and support the channel's growth, and keeps you seeing new videos like this. I absolutely can't get enough of this album. Everything from the album cover to the little intricacies and how I discovered this as an artist back then, and the impact it had on me and my love life is fantastic. I'll tell you the story. Let's go. And it's not all that interesting. I had a music teacher when I was in high school, and he had showed me his vinyl setup, his hi-fi. I was always intrigued with his vinyl, and he had shown me some of the solo Beatles works. I was obsessed with the Beatles, and I'm still loving the Beatles till this day, but the solo Beatles, in particular Paul McCartney, struck my fancy to a T, and I love him beyond words. He, as a creator and a musician, it just speaks to me more than the Beatles ever did. Getting away from the point, he showed me this album. I looked at it. He said, this is Paul's second solo album. 1970 had come and gone. 1971 was here, and Paul was only left with his one creative force and confidant in Linda. Linda McCartney was his now creative back and forth person to collaborate with and harmonize with and write with, and she is all over this album, and I love every bit of it. He and her together believe that they could not be wrong, and as the lyrics go, the two of them are the best of friends, and this album not only showcases their love and their simplicity for wanting to be at home simply with their family and their dog in Scotland on the farm in 1971 is all that they needed, and Paul sort of was lifted out of his depression. New things on the horizon, new and better things for his career, and creatively a step in the right direction. Whereas McCartney, his original album, is sad. He's going through a lot. He's sad. He's depressed. He's in a spot where he doesn't know where to go, where he's never been before as a creator, as a songwriter. He's always been with the guys. The Beatles were his men, his right-hand men, who he can collaborate back and forth with, and they were now gone in 1970. Truth be told, Linda was a bit of a singer and a piano player. He had taught her a little bit of piano and instrumentation and how to harmonize, how to sing correctly with him, and the blending of their voices could not be better. I love it. I love their voices on this album together. A lot of the songs hit right in my heart and remind me of the love that I have for Steph and the creative bond that we share. And it's a very similar thing. Even the little details with Paul's marker work, he went ahead and drew the cover and included L-I-L-Y on the side of the jacket and the front cover, symbolizing Linda, I love you. He just so sweet, hearkening back to homegrown roots, and that you can make the best of a bad situation with the ones you love in creating something great. And Ram is the product of that. In the beautiful spring, as we go through a beautiful stretch of May, I celebrate this and love this record. It's one of my all-time favorites. I picked up this very album with her down the Cape in Cape Cod, and she'll pick this one out of all the albums most times, and there's a reason why. Just that sentimentality, and all the songs are just killer. Every one of them is a knockout in my opinion, and the album flows consistently. He did have help from George Martin, but he himself arranged and produced a lot of this music, all of the music, and it still sounds Beatle-y. It still sounds very, very Beatle-esque, and in the production, and Paul's voice is so supple yet strong and always so good. One of my favorite male voices is Paul's, especially early Paul McCartney. His supple and sweet falsetto to his growling and bombastic, bluesy sort of rollicking voice is fantastic. From cover to cover, no one else had a hand in making this other than Paul and Linda. From Linda taking the initial photo on the farm, Paul then scribbling around it in marker and having the name in mind already. It had been already a name in his mind, and then everything else just kind of revolved around that. A ram is strong. A ram gets through things. And that's what this album symbolizes for Paul. He got through the depression of losing his Beatle friends, his Beatle buddies, and George, Ringo, John especially. Paul put this here to symbolize one Beatle getting over the other. One Beatle getting an edge on the other. That's all that is. That's all that is to me. It's not one Beatle giving it to the other person and saying, forget you. That's not Paul. I think this album has pepperings of little glimpses into how Paul feels about John and how Paul feels in regards to the abandonment he may have felt regarding the Beatles, and how he may have felt are fervent throughout this. They're peppered in. Take the first track, for example, Too Many People, where he mentions preaching practices. Too many people preaching practices. Don't let them tell you what you want to be. Just go on your own terms. Too many hungry people losing weight. Together, the both of them learn to smile away and just don't let anybody get you down. Don't let it get to you. Don't let it get under your skin. Bad publicity, bad press, talking about things with your friends behind other people's back. Don't let it get to you. Just smile away. Don't let it bother you. Even though Linda sings Don't Know How to Do That underneath him singing Smile Away, it's hard to do. It's hard to just roll with the punches. But Paul and Linda have done it. Considered to be a modern classic to this day. It's a little bit hip in the indie scene with music now. People love it because it's stripped down, homegrown, and very innovative as far as melody goes and lyrically. And surprisingly, I do not have the new 50th anniversary edition. I don't have the half-speed master that just came out. I don't have any of those. I just have this original pressing, and I love it. I don't need any other pressing of this. I think it sounds fantastic as it is. I think it doesn't need all the bells and whistles of a half-speed master. I think it holds up on its own just as it is. The production in George Martin and the strings, his voice, the voices, the harmony, it all stands out and sounds pristine as it is. It doesn't need all the bells and whistles, although it would be nice to have it. Looking at the record itself, it's on, of course, Apple Records, and we've got side 1, Apple Records, Ram, Paul and Linda McCartney. First album to ever be, and only be, labeled Paul and Linda McCartney in Paul's catalog. He did not do that any other time other than on Ram. This was Linda helping him get out of his rut, get into a new state of mind, put on his boots, and get that guitar in his hand. And from side 1 and side 2, I don't even know which one is better. They both are great. Top tracks on side 1 for me, I would say, are Too Many People. I love that song. Dear Boy. I love the sound of Paul's voice on that. Of course, Uncle Albert, Admiral Halsey gets a rave review from me. I love that song. Was so inspired by it, from everything from the sound of the thunder to the brr brr of the telephone to the Paul making up his little voices and doing his little things and all that precision that goes into making a medley of that song. It's got a certain laid-back urgency about that track. It's fantastic. Next up, a rollicking rocker with Smile Away to end side one. Not one of my favorites, but an alright track, and I already explained why it's there. It's just to tell himself and to tell everybody listening to just let it go. Let everything go that's bothering you. It's hard, and it's hard to do. You almost feel like you don't know how to do that, but you do it. Either way, you do it. Side 2, Heart of the Country. Excellent Paul. Guitar, his feet tapping. He's looking high, looking low, looking everywhere he goes, looking for a home in the heart of the country. And he found that in Scotland. He had a horse, had a sheep, and he got him some good night's sleep. I love that song in every way. Just Paul alone, excellent. Could have been a Beatles song. A lot of these songs could have been on the White Album, in my opinion. Monkberry Moon Delight always was a favorite of mine. Always was a favorite. I might like side 2 better. I think I like side. Yeah, I like side 2 better than side 1. I take that back. I can decide that I like side 2 definitely better than side 1. I love Monkberry Moon Delight, the driving sort of minor chords in that, and it keeps going, and I love that. Paul's voice on that, even though it's so nonsensical, the lyrics are so nonsense driven, but that doesn't matter to me. A lot of John songs were that way, cutting up the lyrics and putting them on the ground, and whatever it may be is what the lyrics were. That was John's method, and this is no different. There's no reason for people to make fun of Monkberry Moon Delight. It completely brings a great melancholy vibe to it. It makes me think. Puts me there in an attic when it's raining with Paul on a piano, and he's going out of his mind about something, and he's just in a batty mood. And Monkberry Moon Delight, love that song. I love the drums on that track with Eat at Home, one of my favorites, one of my absolute favorite songs. Great, not too long, packs a punch, great lock-in groove, and they're having fun with it. They're having fun with Eat at Home. Simple vibe, simple, not too heady, not too introspective, just a simple message to wanting to be at home and, do whatever you do at home. So, Long-Haired Lady, though, is a psychedelic, trippy track. I love that song. I love Linda starting out with the singing and the vocal with it, and the answer refrain, the question and answer that Paul and Linda do in that song. Fantastic. I love it. The end with the horns that come in, that orchestration there cannot be beat. I love how long that track is. It's a trippy, like, psychedelic whirlwind of a track, and you just get lost in it. I love the vibe of listening to that. It's quirky, and it's really like you've never heard something like it. It's very unique, that track, Long-Haired Lady. Ram On, refrain is just Paul again on the ukulele alone. Him driving back that refrain, ram on, give your heart to somebody soon, right away. And that leads us into the closer and a packing, rollicking hit in Backseat of My Car. Probably Paul reminiscing about when he was a kid in the 50s, 40s, and sitting in the backseat of his car with his girl, and at the end of it, they drive off together, and they believe that they can't go wrong. I love that the drums and the ending, and that booming of the drums and the celebratoriness of the both of them just going for it in life is just admirable and so cool to end the album with. And it's not anything heavy. It's nothing like that. It's more light pop rock with some psych elements, psychedelic and quirky elements, homegrown, homespun feel. and something that you not miss. You should not miss Ram by Paul McCartney. Pick up the new edition if it's available. It's always in the record store, the repressing at least. And you can at least find the original pressing. You can't go wrong with the original pressing. I love the original pressing. And I love Ram so much that I got this hat. Years and years ago, Steph gave me this hat. We love this album. And she gave me this awesome hat. I did want the hat, and we custom made it at like the mall, I think, years and years ago. But I love Ram. It's one of my favorite McCartney albums, if not the best McCartney album. And this is sort of a celebratory thing for me as well. I started this channel last year around this time. And I think around this time I was doing my Beach Boys Pet Sounds review. That just had a birthday of 55 years now. And now I'm celebrating this gem of a record. And I never would have thought we would almost make 200 subscribers. You guys, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. Both Steph and I, thank you guys so much for subscribing, supporting, watching the videos. And it does not go unnoticed. Every one of your comments I read, and I try to respond. And I thank you again for watching this review. We'll dive deeper into Paul's catalog, Beatles stuff, of course. I want to start with the stepping stones that bring me into a creative space that I could live in forever. So I'm going to be talking about stuff that I absolutely love right off the bat. Then we'll get to the other stuff. That is every other album and record from any other artist. But for now, we're talking my absolute favorites that hit my heart the best, and this is one of them. Pet Sounds is one of them, and we'll keep going from there. Recorded in CBS Studios in New York, Paul and Linda McCartney really went at it and created something fantastic that fans poo-pooed at first. Fans disliked this album at first, gave it horrible reviews, just as McCartney got. Nothing like the Beatles, absolutely horrible. And then years passed. If you're a creator, don't think the first review is what it's gonna get. Just it could gain a whole nother life in a few 10, 20, 30 years. That's what happened with Ram. It got a huge following, and people start to enjoy and cherish it till this day. And even more people are starting to love this album of Paul's and consider it one of his best works. Thank you guys again for tuning into this episode and watching to the very end. You could find me lounging to a melody on this album. Take care, folks. Bye-bye. And Ram on. Thank you, folks, for tuning into this episode. If you do feel so inclined as to follow me on social media, you may gladly do so at Manza Media Art and Manza Media on every other platform. If you like prints, I've got an Etsy shop where you can see some of my original artwork and fan artwork. I'll catch you folks on the next episode of Manza Media.